Welcome back to the Jacob McLaughlin podcast and radio show. So excited to be with you guys today. If you guys are joining me on YouTube or Instagram, you guys are seeing me just chill in my bed. And the guys that are listening on any platform, I appreciate you guys checking in. I am just going to be taking a relaxing day, chilling in my bed, but talking to you guys about a topic that I don't think is talked about enough in today's age, and especially in America, and just who we are and the quote unquote millennials and everything. So I just want to go over this topic that it's something I struggle with, and it's going to, I feel, help a lot of people. So, getting into it today, it's really about embracing yourself, embracing the good, the bad, the ugly, all of you on who you are. And I don't think this is done very much because people don't want to know about the bad about themselves. They don't want to know anything negative because if it's negative, it's bad. You're not a strong person. You're not supposed to, or you're not as good as you could be, or you're not as strong as somebody else, which makes you weak, which is negative. And it's just a overall bad way to look at life because this is just the honesty of it is we all have good things about us. We all have things we could work on. We all have probably some bad stuff about us. And that's just life, and that's everybody. And so I just always encourage people because, in the world we live in, and I know I say that a lot, but it's like everybody wants to be perfect. Everybody wants to drive the nicest cars, have the most money, have the perfect little family, and be able to be with each other at all times, and just put on this persona that, to be honest, isn't real. Because I say this because I live in Scottsdale, and if you guys don't know about Scottsdale, that's where everybody comes and retires. It's where people have millions of dollars. Every single day I drive to work, I see Porsches, I see Ferraris, I see Lamborghinis, I see the most amount of money. I see people with their private jets, but they're really not happy. They're not really embracing who they are because they're trying to put on this persona. They're trying to put on this fake mask on who they really are. And so I just always encourage people, you got to own who you are, and there's going to be some things that we can go over. So one thing that I always think about is Gary Vaynerchuk. He's a guy who he's changed my life, to be honest. I listen to his podcast and he puts out great content. So if you guys haven't listened to him, definitely give Gary V a check out. But he made a quote that always really stuck with me, and it was, you probably suck at something and you're really bad at it, but you're probably pretty good at something else too. And I just love that. And again, that's probably not the greatest quote or how he actually said it, but it always hit me because it's the truth. We're never going to be the best at something, but so many people will focus on that. They're like, oh, I'm not good enough. Instead of saying, screw that, I'm not good at that. And he's talking about a business standpoint where he's like, okay, I suck at that, but I'm going to go on what I'm good at, and I'm going to triple down. I'm going to focus all my time on that. And that's awesome in the business aspect. But when it comes to life, if we never really take care of what we suck at, it doesn't do any good, and it leads to hurt and pain down the road. And so just really getting into like myself, I'm a very confident person, and I know that about myself. And that's a strength, and that's also a very big flaw of mine. And just for example, I take things very personal. I always have like a drive to become better and to do things, and I feel if people get in my way, I'm like, oh, get out of my way because this is going to affect my plan. And that's my ego. And that's something I've learned over the last couple of years that I'm like, whoa, you gotta slow down. You gotta pump the brakes and take a look on. Be like, how are you reacting? Are you even being logical? Are you even being like sane? Are you being crazy? And that's something I know about myself. And I'm also like a person who is I go 100% on something. If anybody has ever met me, I don't know really how to go 50-50 on something. For example, when I was going to go back in the day and I'm going to do basketball, I did basketball all the time. I played at 11 o'clock at night. I went out on Saturday. I didn't have a balance. But because of that, I was successful on gaining my goals of like playing basketball in college. And so it's not a horrible thing, but I also know that like that's not the best thing of not always having balance. And it's a struggle I'm always really working on. But that's like a little example, and it's not even really getting into the deep stuff. But it even comes down to like, here's me about to open up to you guys, a bit personal, but it's owning my flaws. Like, I know there's a lot of things in the last 2 years I've gone through that I've really been opening up from my childhood of, like coming from a divorced home, and just things that happened with my family, and things I've dealt with. And this is not like me feel bad for myself or you guys to, oh, Jacob, I'm sorry. No, that's not it, because everybody has stuff they deal with, but it's me actually never processing it. And now I'm starting to processing things. And then it's like, oh, I might have relationship issues because of stuff I saw in the when I was younger, and I didn't ever really deal with, and now I'm trying to deal with it because I haven't ever had a successful relationship, and just being self-aware and owning that, like, I sometimes I don't know what I'm doing, and just being open to that, and there's so many other things in my life, that's what it just comes down to, is like, are you really getting better at it? Are you focusing on, your strengths and your weakness, and how can you be a better person, a well-rounded person? And that's something I'm just very passionate about, because what just being honest, what happens is, if you never accept your bad, if you never accept your flaws, you have a breakdown. And then some of us call it the midlife crisis, some of us call it different things, and it happens at different points in our life. But if you never actually work on the negative parts in your life, or the things you're not the greatest at, and what your inner demons, or what you struggle with in, they don't go away. Eric Thomas made a quote, and in this quote, I'm not even kidding, changed my life on how I viewed a lot of things. And it was, if you don't deal with your demons, they're not going anywhere. They're only going to get worse. And that changed my life. And why? And it's because it's the truth. If you can sweep stuff underneath the rug a long time, and I've seen it in my own life with people I love dearly, that they swept it under for so long, and then there's that one tipping point, man. And when it blew up so hard. And it's a thing that's so sad to see, and I've dealt with it myself. And so, like, this is just to encourage people. If you have things that you struggle with, that are in your life, like, don't put them under the rug, because they're going to come out. And it may not be in a year, it may not be 2 years, it could be not even 10 years, but eventually they will come out, because you can only bottle it, and there will be things that remind you of it. And so it's just, coming into, owning who you are. And this is also what wanted me to transition into also another part, and that's also owning who you are, owning the good and the bad. When we talk about that, it's having the tough conversations. And this is what I really want to touch on today in today's topic is, nobody wants to have the tough talk that we need to have. Nobody wants to make things uncomfortable, or be in that uncomfortable situation, and it's because we don't like being uncomfortable. Who does? And we would rather sweep things under, act like it's a perfect little life, and smile and have a great day, when it's actually crap, and we're hiding everything about us and who we truly are. And so I just bring this up because in the last couple of years, I left a job, and I had some talks with current friends and stuff, and they're not fun talks. I'm talking about, like, losing friends over these talks. But these are talks that I personally felt I have to have, because I can't go lying. I don't want people saying things about me that aren't true, that I didn't. And again, I can't control what people say, but all I can control is who I am, and what I can say to people, and just be open with people. And so, like, there's an example of, there was a place I was working in the last couple of years, that I was working at a place, and it just wasn't a good fit, and I ended up leaving. And because of that, I lost one of my best friends. And I was having that talk with them, like, hey, I don't really want to call, I don't want to do this, but I don't have a choice. And sitting down man to man, or person to person, face to face, and not going over text, not being a coward of texting someone, or calling someone, or just ignoring. That's what I see all the time. They ignore people. No, it's sitting down, and I don't want to have this conversation, but I guarantee you, when we hash it out, we'll feel a lot better, because even if we don't agree, and we don't end things on terms, you can sleep at night saying, hey, I said what I needed to say. And if they don't take it a certain way, that's the truth. And I say this because it's not just in business, it's also in just personal relationships and personal life that you have to have these tough talks. Personally, again, I'll dig into a little deep thing. There's problems in my personal family that we never dealt with. We tried to have, like, the perfect little family, and we would never talk to people. One might talk to the other behind the other's back, and we never did, but nobody ever talked person to person. And because of that, I had one of the hardest times of my life, because my family legit, like, almost fell apart, because there was so much turmoil, there was so much hate, and there was so much frustration, because we never legit just sat there and talked. And it was at the time when I had to put someone very close to me in the hospital on my birthday, that I was like, that's no more. Because it was me when I talked to the sheriff, and I talked to the actual police officer, and I'm like, I can't do this. I can't lie, because if we would have just had this conversation up front 2 years ago, we could have taken away this whole situation that we're in now. And so that's why I'm so passionate about, like, owning who you are, and owning all the stuff, even if it's not good. Even if you screwed up. And that's the toughest part, I think, for most people, and myself, is like, I screw up. I do, and I don't do everything right, even though I think I did everything right. And then you sit back and you reflect, and you're like, man, I really messed that up. And the toughest part of doing that is owning that, and saying, hey, I did screw up, I messed up, and now you have to go and have a talk with that person. And it's not easy, but I believe that's where real character is built. When you do mess up, you own it, and you're gonna have a talk with the person you screwed up with, or you messed up with, or you didn't treat right. And again, I feel so passionate about this because, and today I see it all the time that people would rather just not talk to somebody ever again instead of just hash it out for 10. It could be a 15-minute conversation and hash it out because they don't know how uncomfortable it would be and know it. And sometimes you lose a friend over it. Sometimes it doesn't go the way you do. But then there's sometimes you have it and you guys were on the different pages, but when you talk, you're on the same page and you can restore whatever that was. So that's really what I wanted to talk to about today, is just owning who you are, owning your flaws, but also having the tough talks that you need to have, because we don't do it enough. And I just feel like, you as a human being and me as a person, like we will always feel better if you put everything out. And again, this is also me just saying, you could put everything out there. You could have the real talk and people hate you because of it. And that's the reality of it. But I promise you, you'll sleep a lot better at night if you just tell them how you feel, what the truth is. And then again, at the end of the day, it's their decision how they're going to react, and you can only control how you are. So again, just this is my encouragement: own who you are, own the positive about your life, the not so good about your life, the negative about your life, and just dig deeper on all those and trying to just work through all those things. But also, when there's a tough conversation that has to come up, you actually have it, and you don't put it off because it's too hard and you don't know how uncomfortable it is. So you guys, I hope this little piece of information, or my own life experience, is helpful to you guys, because I really truly just want the best for you guys and have the best life. So until next time, you guys, go be active, do things that you absolutely love, and I'll talk to you guys next time. Peace.